Hey guys, it's me, Jake, from JakeMan21642. Today I've got a video for you guys of something I really have neglected getting on the channel. This is my roommate's 2016 Mazda CX-5. This is the Grand Touring trim, and this is a car that I've lived with for about the last year and a half, and like I said, I just haven't bothered to get it on the channel. So she was out of town for the weekend. I told her if she left me the key so I could do a video, I would detail it for her. So got it cleaned up earlier, and here we are doing the video. So as I said, this is a 16 CX-5 Grand Touring. This is just a Grand Touring front-wheel drive model. I mean, as I said about my Mercedes, here in Central Virginia, it is really not necessary to have all-wheel drive, especially considering she works from home, and despite having this car for a year and a half, has only put about 7,000 miles on it. So outside though, you can see this one is finished off in the Soul Red exterior. I believe this color was like a $700 option when these were new, but not something I would buy. I think this is definitely what sold her, and it is a beautiful color on this car. This one being a 16, I think it's actually technically a 16.5, which I think the 16.5 just means it has a couple extra things standard, but being a 16, this is the refreshed first generation CX-5. And I'll admit at the start of this video, before she had this and I really spent some time with it, I was never really a Mazda fan, especially these, the CX-5s. The early build ones of this generation are just so cheap. There's really no other way to put it. I think they're really cheap and hollow feeling, but they actually made these really nice for a year and then just went to the newer body style. But outside you can see, the way you can tell this is a refreshed one is it does have these wheels. I believe the Touring and Grand Touring got these wheels. They're super pretty, especially with this Soul Red exterior. I'm usually not a fan of dark wheels, but I think they really work on this car. This one is riding on, so this car was a lease, and they drove it over the lease mileage. They knew they were going to have to put tires on it, so they did. And then they ended up trading it on an XC40. So she got it literally with a brand new set of tires on it. They are Toyo A36s, and they are P225 55 R19s, so 19-inch alloy wheels. These are much nicer tires as well than the Dunlops that these come from the factory with. Like I said, front-wheel drive with nice tires on it. It is more than enough for any weather it's going to see here, and especially she's not going to go out and drive in it anyway. Honestly, too, I've driven these with all-wheel drive. I would much rather have front-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive actually makes these kind of punchy and quick around town. It's at least a decent 0 to 45 car. All-wheel drive makes these an absolute dog. It makes them so slow. There's no difference in handling, because, I mean, this already, for what it is, it just drives like a big hatchback. It's actually pretty fun for a little cute ute. But obviously, you can see, too, one thing I really like is this car did come from Texas originally, so I think the dealership it was sold at, which their sticker is still right there, they did tint the windows. So even though it's not dark enough for my taste, it does have very nice 35 on the front. I think it might have 20 on the rear, but either way, my roommate, I'll admit, she has super good taste in cars. If you go back through my channel, there was a 01 Civic Coupe. It was a really pretty, that jade green color. That was her first car. She was hit, and that ended up getting totaled, and she replaced it with a 04 Mazda 3. But it was actually a nice, I think it was a Grand Touring. It was really pretty gray outside. It had the 2.3 liter. It had the pretty like two-tone with the red inside. Also a pretty good car, and you may have seen that one on another channel here on YouTube. I don't think I ever did any videos of it. But she had just graduated. She had just started a new job. I got this traded in at work. Her 3 was definitely starting to age, I guess you could put it, and kind of talked her into this, and no regrets ever since. I mean, she has absolutely no complaints about it. She loves it. I think, too, I mean, if you know my roommate, which I doubt anyone who does is going to be watching this video, but I think this is a super stylish and nice car. I think it fits her perfectly. Outside, though, being a Grand Touring, this one is equipped with blind spot monitoring. Very nice. I know she appreciates that. Up top, does have the sunroof, the radio antenna right there, of course. And I swear, every time I try to film at this spot, every single time. So, I'm sorry. We're just going to have to deal with that in the background. Of course, Around the rear, dual exhaust. You do have your Sky Active badge right there as well. Everything follows through on this side. The cladding, surprisingly, has not faded. I haven't hit it with silicone or anything in the year we've had it, and it still looks pretty good, actually. Up front, LED daytime running lights, which look really nice. I did watch this earlier, but some of these bugs are just cooked on. I kind of do need to go back. But LED daytime running lights, LED headlights, very nice as well on this. You do get active bending headlights, which my Mercedes doesn't even have. It was funny when she first got it. She hated being one of the people on the road with bright, blinding LED headlights, but I think she's definitely grown to appreciate them just like I have. Down below too, does have LED fog lights. I mean, overall, I think this is a super upscale and nice looking car. These 2016s, you know, it may still be an economy car around the edges, but I'd say this is built better and is more well equipped than some BMW products I get in from the same year. We'll go ahead and get away from that, which I really do apologize about, and get in. As I mentioned, intelligent entry, you have the same little Mazda key fob that you get with every other. Just press, it unlocks, press the lock, and then if you press twice, typical Mazda, does unlock all 4 doors. So inside you can see hers actually is a really pretty color combination. Like I said, it's the Soul Red outside, and then it has the beautiful two-tone white and black leather interior, which you can see for 56,000 miles. This white leather has held up a lot better than I expected. I mean, a little bit of bolster wear, as you would expect, but most of that was there when she got it. You have the pretty red stitching on the black portions. I mean, like I said, I'm not a light interior person, but I think it really works on here. You have the all-weathers down below. I did get those for her. We'll go ahead and start it. Foot on the brake. And it's the exact same buzzy little 4-cylinder that is in every Mazda product, but we'll get to that in a minute. Like I said earlier in this video, these refreshed CX-5s have a super nice interior for what they are. I mean, there are little things here and there, which I'll start with, like down here, it's still, as you can see, that's just kind of permanent. This is just Mazda plastic, so it scratches easily. Same goes for here, and then another thing too, this panel down here next to the gas pedal, you can't see how scratched up it is because it's so dark, but that's really easy to knock off. She does it all the time. I do it all the time. When she knocks it off, she doesn't even put it back because she knows it's just going to fall off again. And then I know someone's going to comment and say this is broken and theirs doesn't do it, but every one of these I've ever been in. Console is kind of cheap and loose. But otherwise, though, this is an insanely nice interior for what it is. This is one of the only vehicle refreshes where they say they added sound deadening. And, like, I actually believe it. Now, I said earlier in this video, I'm not really a Mazda fan. But I was just in, I believe it was a 21. It was new enough to be the new turbo model. But I was just in a new Mazda 3. And I would say this interior is like 8/10 of the way there. The new Mazda 3 is 10/10. It is... Their new products are so high quality inside. Everything, like I said, the few little complaints I have about this car, they have totally fixed. But otherwise, let's get to the interior of this one. I mean, leather-wrapped wheel. It's a nice, thin wheel, which I really appreciate. All the buttons and everything, they feel very substantial. Everything's very clearly labeled and easy to use. I mean, she got in this. I took a little bit of learning with this just because she's not around cars like this. But otherwise, everything in here was super self-explanatory. She never really had any questions about anything. On the wheel, though, you have more than nice aluminum trim, which kind of matches everything throughout. Behind here, your automatic headlights, and then this one does have rain-sensing wipers, which I don't even think she realizes or uses. On the door, it's all put together extremely well. Once again, like I said, if you've been in the early builds of these, you know what I'm talking about. But this is all padded up here, padded leather around here, padded leather on the armrest. All the window switches and everything, they look nice. They're super high quality feeling. You have your traction control, TPMS, and then your blind spot monitoring over here, or the aluminum trim. You have some faux stitching around the display, which looks really nice, especially compared to the radio from the early builds. I did notice, and this may be due to the fact too that it's a Texas car, but it has warped a little around here, but I've seen other ones that did this, and I don't think she even cares or notices, but there is a bit of a gap, and this is a little loose. Although the gauges, they're very pretty. I've been a fan of this design from Mazda since it came out. They're just super simple, easy to read, very not complicated. You even have a display, but it's not blinding. Once again, just like everything else with this vehicle, it just looks great and it's super easy to use. Well, I can't remember what they call this system, but it's Mazda's typical like knockoff iDrive infotainment system. Super easy. You can go to the home screen. This is a touchscreen when you're in park, but you can also use the dial down here to kind of go through everything. This one is equipped with navigation, which she really seems to like. Another thing, too, I do want to do to this car, and anyone watching, if you've done this, let me know how it went. You can add CarPlay to these, but when I got it, I told her I would do it, and then the more I looked into it, it really seemed involved. But you can add CarPlay to these. You kind of have to disassemble the dash, and there is some module you have to install. Like I said, if anyone watching this has done it, let me know how it went and what you thought, because that's something I would love to do to this car. But at the same time, it's so new and nice, I don't really want to go tearing into it. Once again, though, around here, like I said, everything super easy with this system. The audio system in this car being a Grand Touring, I think I mentioned earlier, but it is equipped with the Bose audio. This is like the Bose center point surround or something, just like all of those systems in cars. Just turn that off. It doesn't sound better with it on. But this is a really, really good stereo. I think it's 10 speakers total, and it really packs a punch. Another impressive thing about it is it's really loud. I don't think I've ever gotten this up to even close to full volume, because you don't need it. But it sounds fantastic. I know she loves that about this car too. And she finally does have a car with factory Bluetooth. Below there, dual zone automatic climate control. Once again, these controls are kind of updated from the earlier builds. They just feel so much better to use. Heated seat controls down here. They are 3-stage on and off. Another part that just shows how much they were trying to make this a nice interior and how much thought really went into it is this piece right here where your knee meets the console is padded, and it's a super nice substantial piece. You can see there's actually metal up top that holds it in, because they know you're probably going to be banging into this and making it move around and loose. So I mean, really, you can tell inside of this car a lot of thought went into the design, and it shows. Is missing some things though, like I just noticed, locking glove box, not the end of the world, but would have been nice. Otherwise though, down here, storage. Do have the shifter for your 6-speed automatic. I think the earlier ones, I know you could get these with a manual at some point. I'm not sure if you could still in 16. I know if you could, it'd only be the base model, but the automatic in this is fine. Like I said earlier, this is a good transmission. It's tuned very well. It's very snappy. It's very Japanese. That's the best way to describe it. It's just super responsive. It's always in the right gear. It's an automatic where every day I can just get in, put it in drive, and not have to think about it. Electronic parking brake, which she doesn't use. I think she's a little afraid of it. We did have to put a new battery in this car earlier this year, which I think is just due to the fact that it moves like 5 miles a week. But before the battery started showing signs of going out, the electronic parking brake just kind of would have a stroke occasionally in this car, but works fine now. No complaints about that. Center console, nice padded armrest. I think that's probably the most of the wear of the interior, which they all do this. But plenty of storage inside, and like I said, it's if you have one and it does this, they all do. That's just how they're built. Seats in this car are super comfortable. I mean, I could actually probably cover some distance in these seats. You have a nice amount of thigh support. I don't know. I mean, if these are, I think they might be faux leather in the center where the perforated portion is. But this feels like real leather around the edges. If it is faux leather, it's a really high quality one. But very nice. They've held up well, and I love this design. Headliner, kind of typical Mazda. Even their newer stuff is still like this. It feels like a paper towel. It's a very scratchy material. It also, kind of like everything else in here, does scuff up pretty easily. But also, too, one thing I will say about this car is you'll see in the back some of the panels and stuff definitely are scuffed up. She uses this car. This thing, I mean, for gardening, for stuff around the house, Even when we moved from the apartment to the house, we dropped the seats down and loaded this thing up. She's carried pallets in here that her and her friends built furniture out of. So this may be a cute ute, but it actually does get some utility use. That's almost 20 minutes in. We'll step out and I'll show you guys the rest of the car. Pop the hood. Did forget to mention too, though, full power driver's seat, power lumbar, of course. I mean, like I said, the Grand Touring, this thing pretty much has the same amount of features as my Mercedes that's a year older. Inside of the back seat, everything follows through, and like I said, you can see where the panels definitely do scuff up easily. I think she still dog sits and dog walks a lot too, and that's what some of that came from. But storage, same with materials around here. You at least do get the metal, nice switch gear and all that. The seats, I did condition them today, and another thing I have to say too is they clean really easily. Whatever was the same blue thing that scuffed up there had also scuffed up the seat, and it just wiped right off. So I think Mazda knew that with this white leather, it definitely would need to be pretty stain resistant, and it shows. I mean, stepping in, that's where I would sit. I was just driving in plenty of space, so not bad at all, really. I could ride back here. It's the same material as up front. It's a super comfortable seat. You get an armrest, cup holders, all of that. You can see there's some junk in here, but back seat pockets and everything else. And these seats, of course, too, I will show from the trunk, but they do drop down just like that. And the bottom portions actually slide out to make a flat loading floor. You can hear too, these Skyactiv engines, they idle so quiet. Literally all you hear is the injectors. That's it. Inside the trunk, no power trunk or anything. That's fine. It's one less thing to break. I don't know why doing that has suddenly become so hard. But in the trunk, once again, as I said, you can see this thing really gets used. Plenty of stuff loaded in here, but just pull right there. It will drop the seats down. And then even the center portion can drop independently. I did get the all-weather fronts for it, but I think it came with this all-weather trunk mat. You can see storage on the sides. Same on this side. We'll drop the seat down. You can even release the middle portion from back here. You also have a power outlet. But you can see what I mean. I mean, I'm sure their new stuff is better, but just all of the plastics in this car scuff and scratch so easily. And she loves this too. It's not like she beats this car up. She definitely tries to take care of it. And I've seen ones that are way worse, but just a thing to remember if you are, you can see more examples of it up here. Another thing though to remember if you are looking at one of these and that's something that would bother you, definitely keep it in mind. And I will admit too, I know that's me being nitpicky, but I work around used cars, and it's definitely something I've noticed with these. Like I said, you can tell she also uses this car. Up front, manual passenger seat. I mean, as you would expect in this class. It's just such a pretty interior. This is what sold me on this car, I think, is definitely these two-tone seats. Glove box, which is nice. No lock, but it is damped, which I think, too, is another thing that was added to these. See the silver trim up there and all of that. And up front, I think because I cut the parking brake on, the lights cut off. But go on the headlights, fog lights. And as I mentioned, LED daytime running lights up front, your LED fog lights down below, and then the LED headlights. This is definitely a nice car to drive at night when you have poor eyesight. Under the hood on this one, as I mentioned earlier, this is the same exact Buzzy 2.5 Skyactiv that is in basically every Mazda product now. And honestly, it feels fine. For what it is, for what 90% of the people buying this car are going to use it for. This is absolutely fine. Great gas mileage, I have to say. I know I've said it twice now, but this is a great, like, 0 to 45 around town. Other than oil changes, which I actually did the last one on this, just because she drives so little, I wanted to do really nice Mobil 1 synthetic, and then a nice Purolator Boss filter, since it'll probably only be getting an oil change once a year. So I did the oil change, super easy on this car. Honestly, easier than a Honda. It's just like a Toyota. Pop the cover off, oil filter's right there on the front of the engine. Like I said, battery was replaced, and then it got new wipers when it got inspected, and that's it. And honestly, too, that's exactly why I talked her into this. I know this video probably seems a little nitpicky, but this is a great car. If you're shopping in this class, I would hands down buy this over a Rogue. Probably, definitely a Tiguan. Probably a RAV4. I'm trying to think of what else. Whatever Mitsubishi makes that competes with this, obviously. Definitely a Hyundai, definitely a Kia. Between this and the 16 CR-V, I might have a hard time, but I would definitely say this is more of an enthusiast choice, and I would definitely say this is a better bang for your buck. This looks like a super upscale car for what it is. I mean, you can see the beautiful LED design in the taillight. And the generation after this, too, they are fantastic, but something about these 2016s, I love this size, I love this design, and with the 2016 updates, they really did make this a solid little crossover. But as always, guys, thanks for watching. Any questions, comments, anything like that, drop them down below. I'm sure there's stuff I forgot to add, but I would definitely recommend this car. This is honestly something that I would drive every day. It's treated us well, and I know this will continue to be a no bullshit car for her. So thanks for watching, guys.